time for us to start our Zoom and Tell program. So I'm going to turn it over to David right now for his usual announcements. So take it away, David.
Thank you, Julie. Well, this evening, if you've been listening, Linda Roberts is going to present on, I think, Linda, we kind of narrowed it down to vanity boxes, trays, vanity trays, maybe puff boxes. You know, if we have a little overlap from your first program, no harm, no foul. But thank you, Linda, for kind of doing part 2 of vanity. And we look forward to hearing your presentation. I'm sure we have several people with items that they're going to share later during the program.
Yeah, sure. And quick question, can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, and then Julie, someone needs to make me a co-host so I can share. I have a PowerPoint, so I'm going to take us through that way if you don't mind.
And then Julie, you're going to mute to everybody else?
Yes, I am. I just want to make sure we got everybody. I'm going to mute everyone now, so you'll have to unmute yourself, please.
Sure.
Okay, now we should be good to go, Linda.
All right, so you can still hear me. Give me a thumbs up. And great. And then you see the screen, right? So yeah, this is sort of part 2, on to other vanity items. I do not have the scholarly depth. I am just a avid collector, and I kind of pick up what I like, but I'm going to share some of it with you. And then I'm really hopeful that a lot of you, because there's so many amazing things besides perfumes that are out there.
Excuse me a second, Linda. Julie, did you hit record, please?
It should have been recording, Jack.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me check. I'll check.
Yeah, I'll hold off.
Yeah, just a second.
This recording at the top of my screen.
We're recording.
Very good. Okay. So the first thing I'll start with is community, which is early in the 20s. I unfortunately do not have any examples of near cut. There is a inverted strawberry. A lot of times it's seen in one of the carnival treatments. I don't have an example to show you. So kind of next up, we would start to see some things in the community line. The blue azurite is a pomade, and the photo is a little skewed, but it's around about 3.5 inches in diameter, 1.5 inches, 2 inches tall. And then you'll see a puff box, and both of those are also, often seen with a tray, a water tumbler, sometimes a ring stand, and then obviously there's the big pitcher and stuff like that. But these are 2 things that you can find. I think Carrera is rather hard to find, but you can find a lot of it in azurite. Next thing is you'll see a lot in plainware, and let me minimize this. The puff box in particular. The Helio is neat because it's almost blown. I mean, it's thin enough in the mold that when you hold it up, it looks very light, and it comes in 2 sizes, and they just called it a bath powder box. And again, there were other things that went with it, but that's an example. And again, due to the era, we're in opaques. Same piece, but now you have what they call deep plate etched Wedgwood. So we're around 1920 now. And again, there was a lot of go with items, colognes, a night bottle with a tumbler, a bigger guest jug. So there was a whole range of things that you could have for that. So just a nice little etching. This glass, the quality just isn't quite as good as most of the Cambridge I've seen, but who knows, maybe it was just that particular batch. As with the perfumes, Cambridge made a lot of things that they stuck their own etches and decorations on, but they also sold the blanks to other companies for further decoration. So what we see here in Bluebell is, we recognize that 704 etch, we recognize the gold encrusted, and you'll see a lot in, of all the colors I have in kind of this stuff, Bluebell there's a lot of it in the smaller puff box and dropper perfumes. But this is where they sold. This is really interesting because it's got a flat orange enamel on the inside, and the outside, this is on crystal. On the outside, you see the black and gold painted decoration, but inside on the bottom, or not inside, but on the bottom of the base, it is marked Triangle C. So I don't know who this was sold to. I've never seen another piece of this before, but I stick it next to an ebony atomizer and it looks just fine. Bluebell, I kind of alluded to this a minute or two ago. There's a lot of Bluebell out there at this era. And this particular 704 etch was also used extensively. The top puff is what they call the number 581. And you'll notice that the knob is knobby. I mean, you can kind of see indentations in it. The bottom one is just gently rounded top. There is another form, and when I was doing this presentation, I realized I didn't have one. The base would look the same, but where you have that knob, you have just a gentle finial like you would typically see on a 1 or 2 pound candy jar. So that's my convention search item for this coming season, is to get at least one example of that style of puff box. And they're about 4 inches, 3.5, 4 inches in diameter. Oops. Okay, so yeah, here's the sets again. And the first picture you saw, and I forgot the name of that, but you can tell from the label that that light emerald is very early. And somewhere there's a rose dauber out there. If anyone finds it, let me know. The hardware is not Cambridge on the bottle. Then on the right-hand side, you'll see another light emerald. What's really interesting on the tray is it has actual concentric rings. So there's 3 different spots that your items can go into, and it's real nice for display. That's the only thing with collecting the perfumes and such. They take up a lot of case room at times if you want to show them in this manner. Another item, this tray, it's the number 488. You see it used a lot with the night jug sets. In fact, I think that's probably its primary use, but I just made kind of a composed set, and it's a nice little way to put a couple pieces of pink together. The perfume has a light optic. I can't give you a number on it. And then the puff box, again, you'll see this ormolu, and it's got the knob has a lot of really nice detail in it, and it's just a sweet little set. Okay, apple blossom. So we're into the 3400 line, and this is where we see a lot of puff boxes. We see a lot of the perfumes, plus we know all the other things that they did. But this kind of presentation, you will see most often, in my personal experience, on the gold crystal. And for whatever reason, apple blossom was incredibly popular on the 3400 line. Perfumes, I can't, and puffs, I can't really say I've had an opportunity to buy in many other colors, but certainly here. Here's another example. I think I've got a perfume to go with this one, but this is Diane, so a little more uncommon. And again, these puffs came in a couple, 3 and 3.5 and 4 inch, I believe. And then just your nice, plain, clear, in this case, I think at this time they would be calling it peach blow versus dianthus. But lovely little piece. You just have to watch for chips on these. They're delicate and they can. So if you're shopping, just, pay accordingly. Another line early, just because of the color, is Weatherford. It was introduced in 1926. And again, there are Dauber style perfumes. I can't say offhand that I've seen atomizers attached to the bottles. Not to say there might not be, but usually you just see it with kind of a cologne bottle. Nice set. These are pretty hard to find. These are what they call the flat blown puff boxes. I don't know the number of the medallion on top, but you will see that a fair amount. And then the second variation will be where it's got a blown knob on it. And again, back to the 704 etch for us. I've got one in light emerald, but I mean, I only have 3 in my collection. So that give you a little bit of hint of scarcity. Then we get into Mount Vernon. You've got the little, I guess it's almost a pomade or a little toilet box. And then the puff and the cologne or the toilet bottle, these are bigger pieces of glass and they're hefty. And the perspective's probably a little bit off between the 2 emerald pieces, dark emerald pieces, or I guess they're forest green, but it gives you a sense of what they are. And you can find these in other colors also. Dresser compacts. Okay, there are a lot of these out there. There's a lot of colors. You will see them plain. You will see them cut. You will see them etched. You will see them gold encrusted. And then you see some holy grails, which I wish I had, but don't, would be something in ivory with some irises on. So you'll see a lot out there. And trays. So this is what they call the 660, and usually they would put 2 perfumes and a puff jar in the wider section. And then in the other sections, I don't know, earrings, bobby pins, what have you. Here's that other green vanity tray that I talked about that had the inset circles. You can also find it without them, but this was rather unusual to find it with that feature. And then you saw this tray from before, which is, like I said, most often seen with the guest set. You will also see a number of them that this is where, again, they sold to somewhere else. And a lot of times you get different celluloid tops. The one on the left is obviously some kind of puff. The other one's a pair, a hair receiver and a puff box. And I'm not sure the one on the left, but the right pair does have a triangle C down below. And I didn't get a chance to get the line number on that one. They also sold to Yardley. And these 2 are side by side. So you can see how teeny tiny the pink one is. And then the other one, and it was for things like cold cream. And they're kind of fun pieces to have. And you can lightly see on the right hand pink, the Yardley engraved on the top. And I didn't test, I'm assuming it's plastic and not Bakelite, but I could be wrong. And then another puff box. This one's really cool. This was, I think, done by Apollo as far as the metal work, but it gives you an idea of how these were marketed. And then you would have on the far left room for a lipstick or a little eyeliner puzzle. But those are, the basic resources are going to be your early catalogs. Welker's catalogs has some nice pictures of some stuff. Margaret Whitmire has what, about 2 years ago, she came out with another book, and then our own website has lots of different pictures. So that, like I said, is kind of the whirlwind overview of the types of things that you can find in Vanity. Obviously, I focused a little more on perfumes in my own collection, so I don't have quite as many examples to share with you of these other things, but I think it's a good jumping off point to see what the rest of you have. Oh, or
Yeah.
questions, I can take those too if you want to do that.
Yes. Well, thank you. That was a wonderful presentation. I do have one question. I noticed on the flat bottom puff box, it reminds me a lot of the Brie box I've seen before in Cambridge. Do you know if they are the same size?
I think they're 3 and 4 inches. So do you know that box you're talking about? Do you know how big that is?
No, I don't. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah,
But it kind of reminds me of that box because it's lidded
yeah,
and it's, the brie cheese one in it. So you figure, probably 4 to 5 inches would be my guess because normally your
yeah.
little bries are about 4 to 5 inches.
I'm guessing the diameter's probably at least an inch bigger,
Okay.
and probably a little deeper. I mean, these boxes are very, I mean, they're like an inch to 2 inches tall tops.
Okay.
They
Yes.
really just kind of had a puff in them, so they weren't
Yes.
deep.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions that we have tonight?
Yeah, I have one, Julie. Linda, thank you. What a great
Great
presentation.
presentation.
Thank you.
Question, I was looking, you don't see a lot of these arrangements or sets or whatever in catalog images. About the only thing you seem to see was a puff box and a couple of perfumes. That's in the 27 catalog. And I'm wondering, but particularly as far as the tray goes and the community items, the opaque items and sets and stuff, and that's about
So
all I ever see. Is that
exactly? I agree. I mean, this week it's on page 16 of the 2027.
Yeah. And that doesn't have any of the sets that you would see, like with the opaques that you show, and what we know that they did.
Yeah, these forms are usually transparent. So you are right. They are harder to find.
I just wonder if because like the tray, particularly you had the one cool tray that had the seats in them. So yeah. So obviously that was made for that, and but yet there's no catalog image or anything showing that at all.
No, but the hardware on the perfume it wasn't DeVilbiss. Now I know Cambridge did a little on their own, but I think maybe they were just selling items, and maybe it was the retailers themselves that were doing the marketing on the trays. A hypothesis for you.
Okay.
Linda, you mentioned this book by Kenneth
Yes.
Whitmire. Actually, it came out, time flies. It was 2020.
Oh,
But there's
wow.
all kinds of advertisements in this book of these sets made by Cambridge. So I think it's just like you said, they were sold to companies that did the promotion.
Yeah.
We always think about Cambridge doing all the selling, but they work through other companies. That's special.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Les. I think that's very true.
Were they the same ads, Les, or were they different ones?
Well, the catalog, of course, just has pictures of the items, and of course, we tend to be fixated on these catalogs, but the advertisements are, what really sold to the public.
Right. I was just wondering if we'd find advertising mats or something in the archives that they gave out to the dealers. That was my only thought.
But see, I think the dealers were buying from multiple glass houses.
Absolutely.
So they were, I don't know, this is not exactly, but this is from Apollo. So they were doing the additional wear, but you can see, you know, they were buying brushes and other vanity items and such, and, you know, putting it together as
From different
as
companies,
sets.
right, Linda?
What?
From different companies.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think they were buying, I mean, if you look, it's going to be hard to see, but so this is one set, and I do not recognize these as Cambridge bottles, but right over here, you have the compact right up there. And I'm sorry, guys, it's hard with the camera, but we know that's the compact we have. So that's what I think the companies were doing. And I'm flipping through the book, Whitmire's book, real quick, but
And then DeVilbiss sold sets that had some Cambridge components and components
Yeah.
from the companies as well.
they did. They absolutely did.
Okay. Do we have any other questions before we start the show and tell portion? Okay, hearing none, we're going to move on. We'll start with Barbara, and we'll put Gwinnell on deck, please.
Barbara was on a conference call. You may want to circle back.
Oh,
It's
Barbara Ritchie.
It's
Oh,
Mary.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Barbara was going to try and get on, but she was stuck earlier.
All right, mine, I don't think are Cambridge, but they are, I've collected powder jars for years. I have 132 of them. I'm not showing you 132, but and I'm sure they're not Cambridge because I went into the Cambridge, I went into your site, but I thought I'd just show you 3. Since I'm leaving them to the museum, what I've decided to do is take on the identifying all of them through the Whitmire book and then just making a whole collection for you so that you have it. So what I have are these. I don't know if you can see them, but I have, they come in all the shades, the frosted shades. And I started out with one little one many, many years ago for $10, which was a big mistake. But I love them. This is one. And I'm sure I have to go in the Whitmire book or whatever. This is another. That, again, it was a
What's the finial? What kind of creature?
It's a baby.
Baby. Okay.
Yeah. And then this one is the one I know the name of because they've given each of their jars a name. This one, which is a rare one, is called Rapunzel. Okay, so as that it looks like bubbles going down, and they call it Rapunzel. But there is one thing that I do have a few of and these are powder jars with the perfume on top.
Can you show the blue one again and hold it back closer to you a little bit?
Sure. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that's a much better view.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, and the bubbles are actually, no, I was thinking her hair, but I guess not.
They call it Rapunzel to let down your hair, and that's what they call it. But it's little bubbles all the way down.
Yeah, you're right.
And then this one, which is the face powder, and it still has the little face thing inside of it.
So that's going to be Fostoria.
Okay. And it actually has the little, it's not broken. It has the little thing.
You're lucky.
I know. And it's got the blue on this one. And I've got a few of these assorted, but I have 132 of the powder jars. Taking over my apartment. And that's all I had. Because I don't have, I looked to see if I had anything that was Cambridge, and I just don't see anything that would be. Although I have all the Rose Point and all the Crown Tuscan and everything else, but not the powder jars. But thank you.
Julie, back to you.
Is she gone?
No, I'm right here. Sorry, I had to get the husband in the house. He just had hip replacement, so yeah, so he just went back into the house. So sorry about that. Okay, so next we have Gwinnell, and we will put Christine on deck, please.
All right, I've got one of the Yardley. It's kind of an ivory color with a lid. I think it's more of a medium size.
Yeah, I think it's probably about the size of my one square-sided one, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not super big, but it's not very small either. But it's not signed or anything that I could find. Then I've got two powder jars or powder boxes or whatever. One I believe is Cambridge, according to Whitmire. And it did have the Cambridge old sticker in it with the triangle,
Yeah.
and it is frosted. And the other is almost like it, but Whitmire says it's a Haddon CD, and it is a different bottom on it. And it doesn't have the rim that Cambridge has. That
Yeah, lift them
Caprice
both
is
up
known
a
for.
tiny bit higher.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And then the bottoms are definitely different on them.
Yeah, I
I've
don't
seen
have
this
one
one
of
at
those
Miami
either.
Valley. These are a little bit easier to find. And I mean, each of them have a different top on them
Yeah.
with the metal.
So
But
going
that's
back,
all I've got.
all right. Thank you, Gwinnell. It's always, and they look very Caprice-like as we would
Oh, yeah,
expect.
exactly.
Thank you. So I did notice that you had a very decorative lid on the one.
Uh-huh.
And going back to the presentation, Linda, you said that primarily we see apple blossom and gold crystal in the ormolues. What other colors have we seen in ormolues beside, I mean, I've only ever seen the gold crystal. I mean, you see some of the flasks and some things in some ormolues that are different colors, but what about in these types of sets, the vanity sets and so forth?
You know, now that you ask, I don't think I've seen it on the 3400 line and other than gold crystal with the ormolu. I mean, I've got other colors in 3400, but they don't have the metal work.
Ormolues, yes. Okay. I was just curious if you'd seen anything else, so thank you.
No, not offhand.
Okay. Next, we're going to go to Christine, and then we will put the checks on deck.
Okay, I have tons of Yardley jars. It's kind of one of my things that I absolutely love. It's all the museum's fault in the women's bathroom. If you walk in there, if you've ever seen that little case, I was looking at it one day and I'm like, those are really, really cool. So I started searching for them. And in fact, I had the luck of finding a full box, the original 3 Yardley jars that came in the box, and they are in the museum. If you go in the education area, that's where they are, because I felt like that was a good place for them to be. But that was just a really cool thing. So this is one of the ones that I have. And what I like about what's really neat about this one, it's kind of similar to the one that you had, but this has the little black lid to it. But's really, really cool is that it has the original ruche that was actually found in it. I've got about I have about 3 different jars that actually have what was originally in them. This one as well. I have, and this has the original powder. And it actually has a label. It's pretty faded. It's pretty hard to read, but it has one of the original labels from Yardley that would have been on it, of course. Just had a really neat lid. So just to kind of show you what this is like, and you can actually see the powder and stuff that was in it. That's just I thought was the coolest thing. Another one of the things I think that are really cool are these, I call them Petri dishes. I know they're the powder boxes, but if you look at them, I've even measured my Petri dishes from work, and they are almost to the T, the same size. But I love the color. This one, show you this one. This one was actually painted by someone else. I don't think Cambridge did, but has a painting to it. And this is, of course, the lid is satin, the bottom is not, but just a really pretty color blue. Of course, Petri dishes would have never been color. They would always been clear, of course. And we make them out of plastic now. Then I have, this is the emerald green one, similar to what you had, Linda, as well. Just a really neat dish. I just love these.
Yeah.
They're so delicate and that really light green. And then I have this one that's, mine is not decorated. I've seen a lot of decorated ones, but never had a chance to buy one. So I guess that's what I'll be looking for, is a decorated one. But just a really neat flat lid. You know, I have a number of these puff boxes with the, you know, the knobs on them, but I found this one and just thought it was really neat. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Christine. And I think you found some treasures there with still the rouge and the powder in them as well.
I know. It was cool.
It almost makes me wonder too, is, you know, now when we go to the drugstore, it has all the different colors of blushes or rouges. Do we know, like in the day, did they make different colors, or was it just the amount that you put on? Does anybody know that question? Answer to that question?
I can tell you from what my mother had. Hers were different shades. She had reds to pinks. She was really a big, huge rouge person and a lipstick person. She had to have it on at all times. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the necklaces. You guys ever seen those that had it in it?
Yes.
So you can like have, they pop open, and oh, she had those. She had those necklaces. And so,
wow.
but I saw what she had anyways. Maybe it was just the color she liked. She had quite a few, you know, in her possession when she passed away, and they were all reds to pinks and very big, wide variety, to be honest with you, of what she had. I don't have any other ones with the rouge in it. This is the only one. I do have a second one with powder in it.
I just wondered if the rouge came in different colored bottles.
Yeah.
Or if you've seen it in different colors at all.
I have not.
Okay.
And this is the only one that I have seen. And I'd have to go look at the museum ones again, but I don't remember seeing any. Maybe you guys remember any even having anything in them, the ones that they had. But the one I was fascinated with the most that they had at the museum, so it was the first purchase, was actually this one. This is the one they had.
Yeah, that's the cutie.
So that little cutie one, and that's the one I had to have. And of course, once I bought that, then I had to buy more, you know.
Of course. That's what we do. We're collectors. We like that.
Exactly. So, but that was the one I fell in love with, and just happened to find these other ones. I found the two of them with stuff in it. I bought on eBay. So,
oh boy.
Yeah.
So the one with the rouge in it, with the black lid, what color is the glass?
It's crystal.
Crystal glass.
It is
so
crystal.
The rouge is that color.
It's the color of the rouge that's making that red.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, it is. And it even has, I don't know if you guys can see, it has a label on the bottom still. So
cool.
It was just very cool.
Nice. Very nice.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's all of us are going to be looking now. Yeah.
Yep.
So thank you for that. Very interesting. So next we're going to go to Mary and Jeff, and we will put David on deck.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to show our our yardly jar here. So we just found this last year. Same as what we've been seeing tonight. And then since Barbara mentioned the near cut, I kind of forgot. I had this behind the couch here. So here's the near cut inverted strawberry.
That's nice.
Carnival. Yeah, I think I just love that. I like the inverted strawberry anyway. And then there's the azurite.
Yeah.
Or like your Carrera one. I love that too. And then we had a couple of these 3,400 puff boxes, an amethyst. I'm gonna get my hands out of the way here. And green. And then one of the compacts, one of my favorite compacts is the green with the
Oh yeah.
Pink rose finial on it. This has got a cutting on the top. I've got one in ivory. I've got one in blue, but I couldn't put my hands on those this week. So, but that's. And then the last thing was, so these I guess were also marketed as olive trays. These pin trays, but I don't like olives.
I do.
So they're pin trays. So helio, primrose, azurite. I know they made them in ebony, and I don't have one, and I don't know if they made them in the other opaque colors as well. But if they are, I'm looking for them. So that's it.
Well, thank you. Those are just adorable little pin trays. And as we find out on Zoom, everybody's in search of something. So this is always a good place to talk about it because someone somewhere may find it for you. So perfect. Well, thank you as always for sharing. It's always a pleasure that you guys share with us each and every month. Next, we're going to go to David and Barb Wyrick. You're on deck, please.
Thank you, Linda.
David.
Thank you, Linda, and for doing the program. And Julie, I'll credit. We have some duplications here, but that's okay. It's fun to share.
David, before you get started, I have to say I really like that shirt you're wearing.
Oh, you are? Okay. My niece goes to Tennessee, so I'm feeling like a volunteer this evening.
Go Vols. I really like that.
I initially started dabbling in the community line opaques, and after about 2 or 3 years of attempting to put a Carrera set together and only having 2 pieces at that point, I sold those, and then I got lucky and I found a nearly complete one in azurite. This is the pomade, and then it also came with the pin tray or the olive dish, but we'll call it a pin tray tonight. And of course, it had the puff box to go with it. And I made a couple different trays for the opaques. This one is, I guess, what is it? The octagon shape. It's not quite round. It does have sides, and on the back there's the nice typical pattern that we see Cambridge used many times throughout. So that was my first set, and I was excited. I had to really dig through a lot of boxes today to find that. It's been a while since that's seen daylight. And I really like the color primrose. So I've been trying to put a set together, and through that, with the help of other people, it's slowly coming along. It also has the puff box that goes with it and the pomade, so made using exactly the same mold, just a different color. And I was fortunate enough in this set, I also have the ring tree. The ring tree came a couple of different ways. This has the little knob on the top. Sometimes they ground the knob and just worked it to a sharp point. Might make it a little bit easier to get the ring off. And one of my favorite pieces of Cambridge glass is the soap dish.
Yeah.
It has a couple bars across there so you can keep the soap elevated so it doesn't curdle down in the water. And so through the help of multiple people, was able to put that together. And this one comes with the rectangular tray. It does not have a pattern on the bottom. I'm not sure if they made the azurite tray rectangular or not, and I'm not sure if they made the primrose tray in the octagon shape either. So it seems like the primrose trays that I've seen have all been rectangular, and all the azurite trays that I've seen have all been in the octagon shape, which maybe they just changed those slightly for different colors. I do have a couple more items. This item was shared this evening, but I've never seen it with the Dresden Rose etching on it. Maybe Dresden Rose is one of those out there. Normally it's the windows etching, you see, or maybe even Wildflower 1, but this has the Dresden Rose etching on the top. And then I also have a couple larger puff boxes. Here is the forest green one. This is the next size up, where everyone wants to take the lid off and throw it on a nude and make a sweetmeat. And then my last item is the same puff box, but this one's in pink apple blossom.
Yeah, that's good.
And
They all are.
if they only made a pink apple blossom champagne somewhere, but timing just didn't work quite on that. So, but it's a wonderful puff box. So that's all I've got. Thank you, Julie. And look forward to who else is going to share next.
Yes. Well, thank you. Those are beautiful pieces. The azurite was just very nice. I really do like that tray, the different shape of it. It's very unique. So thank you for sharing with us, David. Next, we're moving on to Barb, and we're going to put Wendy on deck, please.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yep.
We can.
Okay. I don't have very many puff boxes, just a couple, but the first one is the gold crystal apple blossom with the ormolu, and it's just different because it has a weird, I think the original knob must have broken off and someone put this yellow rose on it, which I actually thought was kind of cool. But it's not. I'm sure that was a damaged lid that got put on, but I always liked it. So this is like gold crystal apple blossom. And then I've been trying to put together a set of, let me see if I can get this on here. It is the, again, the primrose tray with a little bit of black enamel on the edge. So I'll hold this up. So it's the same tray that we've seen, but it just has the little black enamel edge. And I found the little pin tray with the black enamel edge to go on it. And then I set my stick candle holder with the primrose black enamel edge. So I've been trying to get this together. There's not a lot. And then the little primrose with the black ebony lid. So that's pretty much the only puff boxes I have at this point. I had some more, and I sold a lot of what I had, so I don't have as much as I used to. So
yeah, well, the primrose with the black is very striking. Very, very nice combination.
Thank you.
But you assembled that, right? I mean,
yeah, piece at a time. Nothing came together. No. So if anyone primrose with black enamel, I'm looking for that.
Well, thank you for sharing with us very much. That's beautiful pieces. I'm going to backtrack. We did have a question from Jonathan Folk. He said, is the box with the baby finial for talc or baby powder? That might have been Barbara's.
Barbara's.
It was Barbara's.
It's mine.
Yes, Barbara. Back to you.
Okay. I cannot answer that till I do some more research. But it's got a little dog underneath, and it's a little boy playing with the dog on top. I don't know if you can see that. Let me get out of the way. And then inside it's got a double slot, and then the bottom's around it, but it does not. Oh, wait a minute. I got it. It's got a name on it. Thank you for making it look. It says, okay, Barbara, you got your wrong glasses on here. It happens. You know, you get to a certain age and that's it. Hold on. Oh, that's better. Dorme. Fifth Avenue, New York. D-A-M-A-Y, D-E-R-M-A-Y, Dermay.
Dermay, yeah.
Okay, that's what it is.
Well, Dermay would have been the company that was selling them.
Okay, I don't know who manufactured it. I'll have to research it.
I'm pretty sure they weren't a glass house, but a retailer.
Yeah,
it's all it's just in the glass itself.
Okay, but we don't know if it was for talc or baby powder. We just know that it was a receptacle of some sort.
That's right.
Okay, well, there's some research to be had here. So
a research to be had here.
Yes, exactly.
A couple of months. That's all there is to it.
Okay, sounds good. Maybe Jonathan can help you out with this one too. So moving on, we're going to go to Wendy and we will put less on deck.
Okay, I don't have any Cambridge puff boxes or vanity trays, but in watching everybody else's, I realize I have some from other companies that I'll share. I've got a wave crest puff box that's got the original puff in it that wants to disintegrate every time I take it out.
Oh,
so that's my wave crest. Thanks. And then maybe you can answer whether this is considered a puff box or not. It's a gallet piece, but is that shape conducive to being a puff box?
It could be. It could also be, sometimes they would call things trinket boxes, but it's probably big enough to hold powder.
Yeah, it is. It's probably about, well, 3.5, 4 inches across. So that's it for my boxes. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing with those. I think it probably is conducive to the size for a puff box, and it's decorated, so I would imagine it was probably in someone's boudoir at some point. And boudoir, sorry, boudoir.
Do people still use cotton balls? I mean,
They
is
do.
that something that goes on
Yes,
in
they
a
do.
jar?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think?
To me,
Cotton ball?
that's more a powder jar, that the size of
Yeah.
that one. I have jars like that they call powder jars, but I don't know.
Oh,
yeah.
Good fun.
Right, thank you.
All right, well, thank you so much, and thanks for joining us. We know we're early out there for you, so appreciate you attending. Next, we
I just
have
gobbled my dinner down.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shoot. Next, we're going to move to Jack, and we're going to put less on deck, please.
Oh, okay. I thought Les was going to go.
Oh, sorry.
I can go, no problem.
All right, we switched you around. My apologies. I moved an 8 to a 6. My apologies.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jack, and we'll make less last.
All right. Well, thank you, Julie. First thing I want to show is this is the small puff box, and this is etched Elaine. I don't see the larger one very often. At least you see, I don't know if that's correct or not, but you seem to see the smaller ones much more often, although you don't find them very often at all. This one, they also put a notch in the lid and sold it as a marmalade too, as well. But if it's got just a solid lid, it was the puff box. So.
Yep.
Then I have the 582, as we've shown, and this one is in light emerald, and this one is cut. A lot of times, most often really, during this time period in the 20s, it was you really can't identify the cutting, but in this case we can. It was cut number 884, so kind of hard to show that, but of course, it was a gray cutting for that time period, but it was pretty nicely done. So, then the other thing we collect are the compacts and covers, the number 680, of course, we've seen. And this one is cut. It's also, they would satinize the lid. They would not satinize the bottom. At least I haven't seen one satinized, but they would just do the lid. And made these in, I think I have them in 7 different colors. What's interesting about that, of course, Cambridge was not yet polishing out their cuttings. They didn't do that and start doing that until the early 30s. But of course, this one being made the time period, you see that the cutting is polished out. And I'm pretty much thinking that when they satinized the lid, that had the extra, of course, dipping it in acid, they had the extra effect of polishing out the gray cutting itself at the same time. And they could have also done some buffing on that too as well, post that process. But it was a really neat effect. And you can find these, they satinized all the different colors on the lids. You can find them. And that's kind of a really neat effect that they did. And then I have one more of those. I figured I'd just bring two colors. And this one is topaz. And I think this one was the same cutting that maybe was it Mary and Jeff showed. I've identified 6 different cuttings that you find on these compacts. 2 are identified, the other 4 are not. Of course, we don't have, if they're not identified, we don't have confirmation that Cambridge did these, but because they're so prevalent, not prevalent, but consistent the way they did them, we kind of think that Cambridge did these. So anyway, this is the topaz one. And then the very last piece to show is one that we really have, is special in our collection. And it is the number 826 Santa shaving service. And this one is also cut, as you can see in the top. And it's cut in one of the 4,000 series of cuttings that they did in the 20s. And it's kind of a cool piece. You see the bottom that they had, and you know, the razor goes there, and the blades, and the probably what do you call that little stick that would reap for cuts and stuff? I forgot what they call that. And I don't know what went in these 2 long trays here, but and then also part of that, you notice the lid had a hole in it right there, and that goes all the way through. So it kind of, so the thing would have actually some air circulation and would dry out and would just have, you know, that moisture in the bottom. So
could that thing be the two things that you saw? Could one be for the soap and one for the brush for the soap?
Yeah, very much. That could very well be. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That's probably right. Yeah. Maybe one of these with soap and one of these would be the brush. Yeah. So, okay, that's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Very interesting piece on the shaving kit. So I think, Barbara, you're probably right. It looks like the right dimensions for soap and the right dimensions for a brush, if I had to guess. And it's a styptic pencil or that
yeah,
you,
that's it.
yes.
Septic pencil, right.
Yep, that's it. Okay, and finally we have Les. So Les, we'll let you show your pieces now, please.
Okay. So I've got one of Christine's Petri dishes. Again, these are very thin, blown compacts. This doesn't fit my collection, but I've hung on to it anyhow. And then the cover, yeah, I don't think you'd want to grow bacteria in a Petri dish that had uranium in it. And the cover is that same etching that's very common. I don't know if it's showing up here well, but collectors call this window pane. So it's got that number. I'm not fond of using the numbers, and most dealers and collectors aren't either, but window pane is the collector coin name for that etching. And things that fit my collection then are enamel decorations. So Linda, Robert, you might want to look away.
Yeah, but I figured you'd be bringing an iris out.
And to make you feel better, Linda, though, it's got some damage. But not that much. Yeah. So this iris decoration, I think a lot of collectors, we treasure it. And, I've got other pieces because enamels are a big part of my collection. Then for Barb, guess what? I also collect the black enamel on Primrose. So I've got the community puff box with the black enamel. And the same tray that you've got, the rectangular tray with the black enamel, as well as a pair of the pomade boxes. And it's cool how they've got that circle in black enamel on top. And then I've supplemented it with a pair of these perfumes, and these were made for Van Wood. The hardware is by Valiant Wood, but it's a perfect match, and it's got the black enamel on it as well. And then reading in Ken and Margaret Whitmer's book, these vanity sets, and again, we had that discussion earlier, the department stores were what really promoted these vanity sets, and that's where almost all the advertising came from. When they sold the sets, because this is the 1920s, they included candlesticks with it. So the primrose, again, with the black enamel. And I think this was the most common candlestick that went along with those vanity sets sold by department stores. And then the last piece is, here's the ebony pin tray. And actually, I'd had this at the show for numerous years and nobody bought it. So I decided I was going to keep it. So Mary and Jeff, maybe we'll have to talk next time you come to convention.
Is that got gold on the edge?
Yeah, it's got just beautiful gold around the edge. In great condition.
Sweet.
Yeah. So that's what I've got.
Well, thank you, Les. Judging by the expressions I saw from a few people, I think everybody is a little envious on a few things that you have in your collection. But those are beautiful pieces. Beautiful, beautiful. So, is there anyone else that has anything to share with us this evening? Okay. Oh, who was that?
That's Greg.
Hi, Greg.
Hello. I just wanted to share. I have my only item to show is this very nice willow blue puff box. I think it's the larger one in apple blossom.
Oh, beautiful.
That's it.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you popped in. So with that, I'm going to take it back over to David to close it out for us, please.
Thank you, Julie. And thank you to Doug. I know that's been a labor-intensive project. I was trying to get on the website this evening to look up some things, and I'm like, why is this not working? And then I saw Doug's email came through. So thank you to everybody that worked on that. And of course, thank you to Linda tonight for putting together tonight's presentation. That was great. It was just the way we like. Linda kicked us off, and then we start sharing the different items from our personal collections. And it's always a lot of fun to see what different people have collected and what they've found in different parts of the country. So thank you to everyone that shared this evening. In June, Jack Thompson is going to be coming back for part 3 of candlesticks. This is going to be 3 light candlesticks and more than 3 lights. So in my brain, I know that Cambridge made a similar Caprice type candlestick that had 5 lights. And I'm sure there are 4 light candlesticks out there that I'm just not thinking of. But if you have a 3 light candlestick or more, you can certainly bring those and share those with us in June for our June Zoom and Tell. So, Julie, that's all I've got this evening.
All right. Thank you, David. And again, we always like to thank everyone that shared with us this evening. It's really you that makes this program such a success. So again, thank you to everyone that always comes and supports us on our Zoom night. And we look forward to seeing you next month.